channel. Today we are joined by Lily, who has courageously shared her story about surviving an abusive adoption and foster care journey. It's a story of resilience, challenges, and ultimately transformation. Thank you for being here, Lily.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. We're so excited that you're here, that you've chosen to share your story because it's such an important one and an important message to bring awareness to.
Yes.
So let's start at the beginning. Can you tell us a little bit about your early years and what kind of led up to you going into the foster care system?
So when I was born, my biological mom was a cocaine addict and had been in and out of some treatment centers and stuff and just couldn't get clean. I'm the baby of 8 on her side, and all my other siblings were already either in the foster care system or living with family and relatives. So when she was pregnant with my brother and I, basically she had no option but to give us up for adoption. So when we were super little, we had both of us had open heart surgery. Mine was done about a month old. My brother's was immediately. So we have cardiac issues due to assumably the drugs that were introduced.
And you guys are twins.
Twins.
Right? You and your
Yep.
brother. Okay.
Yep. We are
That's
twins.
crazy. I didn't know that.
So we both went into the foster care system as infants, and then basically they gave my mom no option but to put us up for adoption. So back in the 90s, everything was mostly closed adoption, which means signed, sealed, delivered. Basically, my biological mom had a folder full of families, and it was like a resume, and she picked this family from Wyoming. And so after she picked that family, we went from that, our infant couple foster care homes. I have journal entries from those actually. And then we were adopted and moved to Wyoming.
So you and your brother were both adopted together by
Yep,
the
they
same
kept
family.
us together. Yep.
Okay, okay. So, I mean, gosh, that alone sounds incredibly difficult
Yes.
to have as your background. But what were some of the earliest signs that things were not what they should have been in your adoptive home?
I can remember far back, this is crazy, but I can remember far back as 3 years old. There was a lot of screaming and chaos and responsibility. And, I remember potty training. And as I'm potty training my own 3-year-old right now, I just knew something was off. We got cold showers. We were forced to administer abuse on each other for having accidents, tattling on each other. From an early age, food was withheld. That was punishment. Um, and so that's really hard because even now, I struggle with eating. Now, I wouldn't say disorders, but I just sometimes struggle with eating, or even as an adult, I'm like, okay, when's my next meal? Even though, you know, so 3 years old is really when my, cognitive brain started remembering things. And then just kind of as I grew, you just start putting puzzle pieces together. You don't really know what's right. You just know it doesn't feel what's happening is wrong.
Right, right. Oh my gosh. That sounds horrible. That sounds like a lot of chaos and turmoil and constant fear in daily
Oh,
life.
absolutely.
Yeah. I'm so
Absolutely.
sorry about that.
Yeah. So, all of that must have just been incredibly hard. How did you cope with it at such a young age?
Um,
Do you remember?
I was very isolated. I was a very isolated child. We weren't allowed to go to school, so I didn't have a lot of peers, relationships, or anything. We did little things like with the church or through the scouts and stuff. I was very isolated. I would be just fine alone in my closet for hours, um, because number one, it kept me safe, and then I didn't have to worry about when was the next time. It was just my own little safety net spot. Also, music. I had a piano at my adopted parents' house, and I'd play the piano. I'd write my own music. That was just very healing and therapeutic for me, was music. Um, and honestly, just survival mode, doing whatever you could every 24 hours to get through the next day. And then if you made it, you're like, okay, I made it. Let's make it to the next. It was just never really calm.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. So, okay, jumping forward At 15, you went
Mhm.
back into their foster care system. Is that correct?
I did.
Okay, so
Yes.
what led up to that, and what was that like going back into that system at the age of 15?
So what led up to that? Throughout the years, the abuse it stayed as, like I said, as I grew, just more. I was just more aware of what was wrong. So my older brother, my oldest brother, he turned 18 and left. He's like, I'm out of here. I'm done. Well, that left me. A lot of the children in the home were disabled, so basically, I was their spokesperson. I was their safety net. I was their advocate. And when my brother left, I was like, okay, it's my turn to be the oldest, my turn. So I started standing up to my mom. I refused to discipline my siblings. And then, therefore, I got in trouble. I remember I was potty training one of my special needs brothers, and I refused to give him a cold shower, and I got punished for that. So as I grew into teen years, me and my mom, adopted mom, just started butting heads, and it was like my brothers knew I was their safety spot. They respected me, and they didn't respect her. So I feel like that caused some tension. Well, I started running away because I was just sick. You just have
You only
had
take so much.
enough. You can only take so much. So I started running away, and I remember last time she hit me, it was actually my brother's 18th birthday, and she hit me, and there was blood everywhere, and there was a small window to call for help. She kept the phone on her person mostly, so we couldn't call for help. But there's a small window, and there's like this little voice that said call for help. So I went into her room, and weirdly, she had left her cell phone on the nightstand. And I'm like, okay, do I call 911? Do I call my grandpa? Do I call my sister? I haven't talked to her in a long time. Well, I called my sister, and I'm like, hey, I need help. So my sister called for help. The cops came. They assessed the situation. They charged my parents with child abuse. And I remember after the officer left, I walked in the house, and my mom looked at me, and she goes, you just ruined the family. And that thought just stayed in my head. Well, the next day, or the next morning, I woke up, and my cousin was there. He had helped taking care of the special needs kids, and he's like, we're coming to get her. I knew my mom was going to come get me and take me somewhere. So I ran away. I made it a mile up the road, knocked on some neighbor's door. Cops came, shackled me, and I went to a group home. I was supposed to be emergency 24-hour placement. 24 hours turned into 48, turned into a week. I ended up being in the group home for 10 months. I threatened to run away because I was sick. I couldn't go home. I was a ward of the state. My parents weren't cooperating. So they put me in foster care. And an officer, actually, who'd known me, decided to take me in.
Wow,
So,
that's an incredible story.
yeah.
So that officer, that was Deputy Clay, right?
Yep.
And he was the one that responded to your.
Yep, he had responded. It was a really cool, like, godsend connection. He had been one of the deputies that had responded to my parents' house for the abuse calls numerous times. He knew me, he knew my parents, he knew our situation, and he spoke with his wife, and they're like, we need to take her in as a teenager, which was huge because they usually only took the little ones.
Yeah, yeah.
So they took me in as a teen.
And how did moving in with them change your life?
They gave me a family. I felt safe there. I could be a kid. It was surreal. It was a little hard at first to bond with my foster mom just because clearly I had mother issues. But she was super amazing. I could play her piano whenever I wanted. Um, she's the best cook I've ever had. She's a really good cook. Um, and I had a foster sister about a year younger than me, and she's my best friend to the day. And then a foster sister and a foster brother. And even though I was kind of older and I was a teen, they took me in. They toured me around the school. They invited me to their friends. We had curfew. My phone went on the dinner table with their phones at 8 o'clock at night, and I felt safe. I felt like I could be a child, even though I had missed that opportunity to be a child until I was 16 years old, and it was just surreal. They taught me a lot in that short period of time that I was with them. But they loved me, and that's what I had craved and needed for my whole life.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
So
It's very, very beautiful and heartwarming that you
Yeah.
were able to kind of arrive in a safe spot after all of that.
yeah.
If you had one message for everybody, and that was sort of the reason for sharing your story and being here today, what would that message be?
Life isn't linear. There's ups and downs. I think when your adolescence is such a vital, important time for you, and I guess all I needed was a friend, whether that was somebody my age or an adult. I just needed a friend. And so my biggest message is, if you're going to school with another child that they're off or maybe they're shy, there's probably a reason. A lot of people didn't know I was in foster care. They knew I was a little off, little socially awkward because I hadn't ever been in those scenes before.
Yeah.
I was a foreign exchange student, even though I wasn't. I just rolled with the flow. Everybody thought I was. But I just got stereotyped and stuff, and nobody really knew why I was the way I was until they did. And so my biggest just piece of advice is to just be kind to everybody and reach out, because you might not know how much that person needs you to be reaching out and to notice them, because in a world where I was told I was nothing, I was dumb, I would never make anything of myself, it's really important to know that you could be seen and heard.
Yeah, yeah. That's great. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
So, thanks so much for sharing your powerful story, Lily. It's really, really an amazing one. You guys, go over to the website. The link is in the notes in the description below this video. Read Lily's full-blown story. It's incredible. It's an incredible story of resilience and triumph and overcoming really crazy stuff to do amazing things. So.
And as always, guys, thank you for watching, and stay tuned as we continue to explore stories of resilience and change. Take care and see you soon.
Bye. Thanks.